Belgium won. What a performance, especially in that second half. It was kind of like a tale of two halves, really, that one, wasn't it? Welcome to the second episode of the Three Lions Reports, the match review series for the England national team. Obviously, did the review from Wales. We'll have another one on Wednesday for the Denmark game. So stay tuned for that one on Wednesday. But this one is about Belgium, and what a performance, especially in the second half. First half, very much Belgium's game. I think that Belgium were really dominating, quite dominant in the first half. England tried to struggle their way into it. Southgate with some big selection headaches, and I couldn't figure out some of them. But in the second half, you know what? Fair enough. He went for it. And, no change in the second half, but I think they just really worked into it. And the players that were quite non-existent in the first half, like the Mason Mount and the Declan Rice, definitely improved in that second half. Now, there's a big change in this one. I'm not going to do player ratings. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want to worry about ratings today, because I think all of the players deserve good ratings today. I think we're going to give an overall team rating, but I think each player doesn't deserve its own rating, because I think that we just need to focus on the performance today. And that will probably be the same for the rest of this series. I think this series will be dedicated to just overall team ratings, and then the Donny Rovers stuff will be like individual player ratings, because I'll know more about them. But watching that game today, like I said, first half was pretty much Belgium's domination. The second half was definitely an England comeback. And, one big worry for me going into this game was Romelu Lukaku. Would he, get the goals? And it's just like Mourinho at Man United again. It's just that one tactic, one ball over the top, and he just couldn't score. Kevin De Bruyne, he's still proving why he's one of the best players, if arguably the best player in the world. Mignolet in goal, meh. Alderweireld in the defence, meh, at times. But I think that overall, Belgium, could have and should have got a point from this game. Now, looking at the Nations League table, we are now in first. We are first. I think if we get 3 points against Denmark, we'll confirm first place in the group. I think we have to play Iceland again. I'm not too sure. But looking, in fact, no. We have to play. I think Belgium and Denmark again. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. Really can't remember. But I know we're top of the Nations League group now. We're topping Belgium, Denmark, and Iceland. Overall then, speaking about some highlights that I picked out, the penalties first of all. This should be an interesting one. Now, the Belgian penalty. Bad tackle from Eric Dyer. I don't know what he was thinking about. I've no idea what he was thinking about. He was probably thinking about Looney Tunes in his head. He was thinking I think he was imagining himself as Wile E. Coyote with that little Acme rocket strapped to his back, and he thinks he's a cartoon, when really, you're going to get penalised for it in real life. It was a penalty. Sliding tackle on Lukaku. Lukaku steps up, takes the penalty, sends the keeper the other way, and it's 1-0. And you're thinking, Belgium deserved the penalty, but you've got to think of it in the half kind of perspective and say, maybe England really didn't deserve to... really did deserve to go behind after all, because Belgium had a goal offside. Was it offside or not? To be perfectly honest, I think it was only just offside. I'm not too sure whether they had VAR in this league, this Nations League competition, but I did think it was just offside by a smidgen. So I think they called it right down the right decision. Now the England penalty, I'm not going to lie, guys, it is a soft one. I'm not going to lie, it was a soft one. But good penalty in the end from Marcus Rashford, MBE. Massive shout out to Marcus Rashford for getting that MBE on the Queen's Honours list. That was an amazing achievement for you, mate. Massive congratulations from me. And then in the second half, Mason Mount getting the second goal, the 2-1. And we win the game 2-1. It was a decent goal from Mason Mount, and we played to the end. Now, let me address some of the concerns going into this game when the team lineup was announced. A 3-5-2, Trippier at left wing back, Walker at centre back, which, to be honest, isn't too much of a surprise because Walker plays as a centre back as well, but he's mainly a right back, so I was kind of 50-50 on that one. But Trippier as a left back definitely surprised me. I don't know whether Southgate was trying to shoehorn him into that position and trying to versatile his play on each wing, but we'll have to see with that one. Now, one other thing that surprised me, and I know Mason Mount did really well with the goal and did really good with the second half performance, but one thing concerned me, Jack Grealish not starting. Rashford up front with Calvert-Lewin, I had no problems with that, but why wasn't Harry Kane starting? And that was kind of one thing I was thinking about as well. But when you look at it, if you're playing Mason Mount or Jack... It doesn't matter whether you play Mason Mount or Jack Grealish. Calvert-Lewin did well. Rashford's an usual starter, so if Calvert-Lewin wants to continue his form, why wasn't... there's hardly any place for Kane. So I could see why Southgate did start Calvert-Lewin over Kane because of Calvert-Lewin's form going into after the Wales match. So I could see why he was experimenting and trying different things there. Trippier at left wing back is definitely a concern for me. I don't know why he didn't go with either Maitland-Niles or Saka, because I think they would have done a better job than Trippier. But Trippier put a decent shift in at left wing back. Not going to lie, decent shift. So overall then, I've got my concerns about the performance that we do need to work on before the Denmark match. But overall, not a bad performance. Not a bad one. Especially the second half. That was a complete switch around from Southgate. And, as soon as the team lineup came out, when Trippier was at left wing back, when Kane was on the bench, Grealish was on the bench, I saw pages and pages on Twitter of Southgate out, he's not good enough, mediocre tactics, And you know what, to some extent I did agree with them, but I did not want to say manager out because I don't want to be a flip-flop. I don't want to be one of those flip-flop fans that say Southgate out, we win 5-0. Oh, no, say Southgate in, and then, we lose a few games on the trot and we get out the group stage. We don't get out the group stage of the Euros and say, oh, Southgate out all along. No. That makes me a flip-flop. And I don't want to be a flip-flop, so I'm not going to say Southgate out until we get anything embarrassing under our belt. Like Roy Hodgson. You look at Roy Hodgson, he was playing boring defensive football. And to be fair, I did see that with Southgate at times. It was very side-to-side in the first half. I think Dyer had the pass. Maguire had the pass and he played it to Eric Dyer when he had forward options. That was very side-to-side in my opinion. So I think that side-to-side stuff is something we've got to help progress into attacking football and attacking passing rather than the continuous side-to-side defensive passing. It was like Harry Maguire was playing Van Gaal football at Man United, even though he wasn't at Man United at the time. But looking at the way Solskjaer played, I'm not going to say so. And like I said, looking at Roy Hodgson, defensive football, and then we got knocked out by Iceland in the Euro 2016. That was embarrassing. That was one of the most embarrassing, if arguably the most embarrassing loss in England history. So Hodgson deserved the sack. If he didn't get sacked, he would have left himself because it was just, there was no way of coming back from that. And of course, Southgate came in to replace Roy Hodgson. So, and then, 2018 World Cup came about in Russia. We put in a decent shift. We won a penalty shootout for the first time in years. And we got to the semi-finals. We were knocked out by Croatia. Not everyone's a fan of TalkSport. We all know that. But the difference in reaction to matches when we lose in a competition. Look at the Euros, pat your bags, Roy Hodgson, we've had enough of you. And then 2 years later, Southgate, World Cup, got this side underway, knocked out in the semi-finals. You know what? They said, hold your heads up, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. Southgate's picked up this side from its rock bottom and took it to some kind of high. And, I think the big test for him will be next year's Euros and then the World Cup in Qatar. And, I think that's going to be the big test here for Southgate. I think that's going to be the big competition taste. Can he do it in a big competition? He took them far in the 2018 World Cup. Can he survive until at least the Euros next year and the 2022 World Cup in Qatar? Because if he can, and he can get us to a decent position there, then it'll be alright. But if he gets knocked out in the Euros, gets knocked out in the World Cup at embarrassing stages in both of them, then you've got to say Southgate needs to go. Especially if he plays side-to-side football and continues to play side-to-side football. So, you look at this and you look at this performance in particular and you say, right, Rashford did well. Mount did really well. Rice did really well, especially in the second half. Trippier and Alexander-Arnold put some shifts in the wings. Calvert-Lewin was playing good up front. Harry Kane came on and tried to make an impact. Pickford in net, 50-50. The back three of Walker, Maguire and Dyer, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I do not like the look of that back three. If we are going to play a back three in a 3-5-2 formation, the last thing I want is Walker, Maguire and Dyer. Last thing I want. So, Who would I put in instead? I think, looking at it realistically, Walker's a right back, so as well as playing centre back, he's a right back. But I would have him on the bench as backup centre back if you're going to play a back three. He can't play wing back, so you can't have him in that position. So I would put him on the bench as a backup centre back and try and versatile him more in that position. So that leaves Maguire and Dyer. I would take Dyer out because he's absolutely poor. He did improve a little bit in the second half, but the first half, side to side poor. And gave away the penalty, of course. So I would put Dyer out, and I would put Keane on one side, Maguire on the other side, and in the middle, the mouthpiece of that defence, Connor Cody. I know Connor Cody doesn't usually work in a back three sometimes, but I think Connor Cody could be the mouthpiece of a back three that could command the back line. So I would have Cody in the middle, Maguire on one side, Keane on the other. Whether it's left, right, I don't give a flying one. Maguire one side, Keane on the other, Cody in the middle. And you look at that back three and you think, that is a good back three. Pickford, I think he's got mistakes written all over him, so I do worry for Pickford's place in the future, especially with his place as number one goalkeeper at Everton being under threat with the signing of Robin Olsen from Roma, with Nick Pope making some good saves against Wales, and trying to improve his game with Burnley. I think Pope is pushing for that starting place. I think Dean Henderson, as soon as he gets more game time at Manchester United, he'll be pushing for a starting place in a couple of years. I think all three, Pickford, Pope, Henderson, they're going to be the goalkeepers we take to Qatar. Never mind just the Euros next year. They're the ones we'll take to Qatar. There's a few players that have already booked their spot for Qatar. Rashford, Kane, calvert-lewin, Maguire probably, even though some of us might disagree with Maguire's gameplay sometimes. Dele Alli might have, booked his spot in Qatar, depending how he plays in the future. So it's going to be an interesting one. And the fact is, we won this game. I think we were the first or second team to beat Belgium, but we played without Sancho, without Chilwell, and without a couple of other brilliant players, Foden and Greenwood, And I think one big thing, and I think someone said it in their live stream, I was watching that as well as the game, and one big thing that came up in that one of the live streams, and that was that Southgate needs to be less, not strict, but he needs to be less of a, he needs to sort of give some of the players that have, they've learnt from mistakes, the Foden and Greenwood situation, they've served their punishment, and now they're back into the side. So I think that Southgate needs to sort of ease these players back in now, just to give that extra depth of quality now, because if we end up playing badly against Denmark, and we haven't got those quick options to bring extra pace into this team, and pace is what we need, then you've only got to look at the strictness of Southgate to blame. And then, and Foden and Greenwood, they've learned their mistakes, they're serving their punishment, they're serving it well. So you've got to look at that. Tammy Abraham serving his punishment. So, there comes a time when you have to forgive and just, don't do it again, they'll learn from it, move on. So you bring them in, and it adds that extra pace to the team. Foden, pacey. In my opinion, he reminds me of Gascoigne just as much as Grealish can do. Greenwood, future of English football for me. Absolutely. Future of England. And Tammy Abraham could do some good things. So, once they know they've served their punishment, ease them in. And, to be honest, that's all I've really got to say. So overall then, just to end the video, like I said, instead of doing individual player ratings in this series, I'm going to do an overall team rating. So overall, if I'm judging it on the first half alone, I would give the team about a 6. It wasn't too good, but it wasn't the worst performance ever. It was just very side-to-side at times, and of course gave the penalty away, but then we got one back through a kind of soft penalty. So 1-1 at half-time, I'd give the team 6 out of 10 for the first half. If we're judging it on the second half alone, I'd give the team 8 out of 10 because it was so much better. So if we're going to average it, I'm going to go overall rating of a 7.5 out of 10. I think it wasn't the cleanest performance, it wasn't the most amazing performance overall, but it was okay and it was alright for what it was. But now we need to learn the mistakes from the first half, rectify them against Denmark on Wednesday, and just keep playing progressive attacking football and no more of this side-to-side BS that none of us like to see under Roy Hodgson, and we don't want to see under Southgate. Because I think Southgate's a better man, and, you know, I've seen people saying Southgate out, Eddie Howe in. Eddie Howe's a wonderful manager for Bournemouth. He's done really good stuff with that team, taking them up to the Premier League. You know, that was a massive achievement for Eddie Howe. But I don't think he's ready for the England job. I really don't think he is. I think Southgate should stay in it for now, but any embarrassing mistakes in the Euros, any embarrassing mistakes in the World Cup, both of them, out the door. And we can't be dealing with that. Now, if there's time to rebuild, there's time to rebuild. But how many rebuilds will it take before we can actually start screaming about a trophy we've actually won in recent times? Because apart from, you know, the big World Cup back in 1966... We haven't won much, have we? So, you know, and somebody actually mentioned this. I think the golden era of English talent, Beckham, Scholes, Gerrard, Rooney, Terry, if we had a better manager than Sven-Göran Eriksson, we could have won something back then. But I think that Eriksson was a safe manager. Southgate at times can be considered a safe manager. If we have that world-class manager in there that's going to play progressive attacking football, and I'm hoping Southgate can grow into that role and get rid of the side-to-side stuff. But someone like a Southgate, if he can grow into it, who can play progressive attacking football with a nice new era of footballers in the English generation, we could win something. And it's just a case of, can he rise to it? And if he can't, out the door. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching this review of Belgium versus England. We won 2-1. Very good result. And, you know, it's going to be an interesting watch to see what we do and what team we put out on Wednesday against Denmark. But for now, I am the CHALL, your Doncaster Rovers fan for football content. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow for a DRFC Daily Report. And for now, guys, have an awesome day.